Hey, but this is Zaccheus with another live word of the day. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. Well, on today's episode, I entitled it No King's Protest. Meaning, since the government shut down, there's been a lot of, and the reason why it shut down, tell you the reason Medicare, Medicaid cuts, SNAP benefit cuts, um, National Guards going into cities, ICE police with migration situation. So it's been a lot of then the protests is a pushback, to say, listen, it's a democratic country and we're making our voices heard. Making our voices heard that it's not just you're not a king, you're because this is a people's country. There's no you're treating it like a dictatorship. Treating it like a dictatorship. This is the people's land and the people's country. And we have our rights. We have our rights to fight and we have our rights to push back. Since this Trump administration, there's been a lot of cuts. They even wanted to cut the school program for the kids. Even wanted to cut the school program. Not the school program, my mistake. The food programs from kids getting lunch in school. I remember when they were talking about that. So everything for the 1%, but what about for the hardworking man? What about for the people that's retired? What about there's many people that rely on these benefits? A lot of people that rely on SNAP benefits and a lot of people that rely on the Medicaid benefits. So why? And then there's been a lot of cuts on the Obama cuts, a lot of cut out Obama stuff, cut out what Biden did, cut everything, all of that out. Ego tripping, President Trump. And
More than 2,500 demonstrations dubbed No Kings rallies took place across the country yesterday. Protesters were expressing their frustration with the Trump administration for its approach to addressing crime and immigration enforcement. But many Republican leaders are condemning the protests. Jen Sullivan has more on the nationwide movement.
Thousands of protesters gathering in cities across the U.S. Saturday to protest the Trump administration's policies that they claim are authoritarian.
I want all of America to realize that the Declaration of Independence was about no kings, about our personal liberties, about free press. It's very powerful to be here right now.
The demonstrations were dubbed No Kings protests. Marches happening against the backdrop of a government shutdown and tensions over immigration raids to crack down on illegal immigration. ICE raids in Chicago leading to weeks of protests, including this outside an ICE detention center Friday in Broadview, Illinois.
We have masked goons roaming the streets, hiding their faces, abducting people.
It's un-American, you know what I mean? It's just straight up anti-American.
Protesters say they are also frustrated by recent National Guard troops being deployed to Democratic-led cities despite local leaders pushing back. The Trump administration says the move is to help fight rising crime and protect federal personnel and property.
I believe it to be unlawful and unconstitutional. There is not a rebellion going on.
In June, similar rallies were held in cities across the country. Saturday's events, though, were even larger, with roughly 2,500 protests held coast to coast. Many Republican leaders condemning the rallies.
We refer to it by its more accurate description, the Hate America rally. You're going to bring together the Marxists, the socialists, the Antifa advocates, the anarchists, and the pro-Hamas wing of the far-left Democrat Party. That is the modern Democratic Party.
I'm Jen Sullivan reporting.
More than 20.
well, of course, you're not gonna have some politicians that they're not gonna try to understand. We the people, United States, believe in equal rights and believe that we should have a voice and believe that we should not have having certain things be taken away from us to help the people, the hardworking man and the low wage person. Now, what is the government shutdown? For those who don't know, the government shutdown when Congress is unable to pass appropriation bills that finance finance and operations, federal agencies and programs such as National Institutions of Health, A, NIH, and it's a supplement nutrition program, which is SNAP. And they're trying to regulate SNAP. Now, if you're on SNAP, you gotta by November the 1st, I believe by November the 1st, if you're on SNAP, they're giving you that you have to go back to work. They know you have to go to work if you're on SNAP by November the 1st. If you're able-bodied, if you're healthy and you're young and able to move around, you gotta go back to work. I'm gonna do another video on that and get into more detail with that. And another thing they're trying to conduct voter suppression. This is part of the what the shutdown is all but the government shutdown is all about, but also the protests. I'm gonna focus on the protests. The No Kings protest is about this: the voter suppression and civil rights. Other concerns include the erosion of voting rights and the border fear that constitutional and civil rights are under assault. Under assault because they just you see they got these soldiers, ICE police covering their identity, and they're just going around abducting people, migrants, and you have an accent or you look foreign, and they just arresting people, certain people, if you don't have your papers straight in the country. And they're just doing that, consistently doing that, and it's a violation, and you're doing it the wrong way. There's a way in how you approach the matter in certain situations. It's a way. Never, and it's a serious thing because over 200 years ago, there was a No Kings protest, and now there's voter suppression now. Since the Trump administration has taken office,
Deje todo ahí, señor. Deje todo ahí. Déjelo ahí. Put your hands up in the room. Deje todo ahí.
now imagine you're going to your destination, you're going through something like that. ICE police got their face all covered up. Imagine going through something like that. It says here, migration crackdown. The administration. This is why the protest was occurred. Administration, aggressive migration tactics, such as deployment of mass migration and customers enforcement. ICE police agents were a major motivation factor for the protests. Cause listen, you feel violated, and because you have a certain type of accent or look, and they looking at and they see if you're not papers are not straight, ISIS is coming for you, and the way are they doing? They arrest you and kicking you right out. ICE is the way how to go about doing things, and it's like a king's Trump administration is like a king's takeover, and it's just violation of certain things that human rights.
Federal troops in the city of Chicago. No militarized force in the city of Chicago. We're going to defend our democracy in the city of Chicago. Are you prepared to defend this land? If this president decides to continue to break this Constitution, it's going to be the labor movement that stitches it back together. Federal troops in the city of Chicago.
Yeah, so Mayor Johnson is against it. Mayor Johnson of Chicago is against it, and I'm against it too. This is straight up martial law. Straight up and down martial law. You feel intimidated? You see all those troopers with the assault rifles and machine guns, you feel intimidated. Because they're hitting the Democratic cities like Chicago, New York City, Boston, and so on. So on. Now, the deployment of federal troops, this is why the march had to happen. The No Kings March had to happen. Deployment of federal troops, protesters object to the deployment of federal troops. The cities, particularly Democratic ones, led ones which they see as a method of intimidation and militarizing communities. So straight up and down martial law. They just police in the streets, heavily police in the streets, thinking it's crime in the major cities. Yes, it's crime, but you don't have to do it that way. There's way, and it's against the way of American life. Now let's talk about those budget cuts. This is the reason why the protests had to happen, the No Kings protests. We don't need a dictatorship. We need a democratic government, and it needs to stay that way. It needs to stay that way. The protests also address the administration slashing the federal funding for essential programs, like including education and healthcare, things that people need, things that Americans need to keep the communities going. Now, why would you slash healthcare that the senior citizens need? Many people's on Medicaid. I have family members on Medicaid. So why would you cut? Only thinking about the 1%. Only thinking about the 1%. This Trump administration is thinking just about the 1%. Senior citizens, if they're not the 1%, they're on a fixed income. They're on a fixed income. And Medicaid, and many people's on Medicaid. And if you cut the health benefits, those those medical bills are very expensive. Now, how are they going to retrieve medical treatment if you're cutting Medicaid and you're cutting certain healthcare benefits? Can't do that. This is why the protests had to happen.
Why did you come out to this protest today?
To just voice my opinion, share my thoughts, protest for things I don't like, but do it calmly, quietly, and not so quietly, and just let people know that I'm not satisfied with the status quo.
Now, the live word of the day is coming out of Proverbs chapter 31, verses 9. Open your mouth and judge righteously, defend the rights of the poor and needy. Now, when you take away certain benefits that have been helping the people all along, Medicaid, Medicare, SNAP, regulating SNAP, got to go back to work, Section 8, regulating Section 8. Certain things that can help the people, Medicaid, Medicare, I mentioned that. Certain things that help the people. And now you're deploying troops, National Guards, to regulate citizens of major cities, the Democratic cities. New York City, you heard Mayor Johnson of Chicago, just not for it at all. And you're sending troops, and you send and ICE police. The way how they doing it, they kicking migrants out and kicking them out, and just they're doing it the wrong way. It's just the wrong way how they're doing it, going about it. Land of opportunity, it should be run democratically, not a dictatorship. That's why no king's protest had to happen. But this is Zaccheus with another live word of the day.